When it comes to the Raunacht, for those who have never encountered it and don't really know about it, can you tell us a little bit more what this tradition was, what people would do, how they would, and maybe how you've kind of brought this tradition into the course and into your journey that you're going to guide?
Yeah, maybe I can clarify on the way how to say it because it's actually quite interesting because you said
Yeah.
Rauchnacht, which is not the usual way we would say it, but it's not wrong. It's
Okay.
actually quite on point as well. When you say Rauchnacht, it would mean in German smoke night, which is also correct because there's all the smudging and all the incense that is really present for that time. And then the actual way is Rauhnacht, which means like rough nights because, yeah, the nights, the winds, the cold, the long nights can be pretty rough. I mean, for ancient people, for sure they were. So there are these different ways of pronouncing it. And well, people would, of course, as you also said, really come inside a lot and gather around the fire. We have fires also on summer solstice. Everyone is outside and is very like extroverted, and then it's the same, just inward, gathering around the fire inside, sharing stories, and also taking time, yeah, for gratitude and integration. And there were feasts prepared also for the dead, actually. This is also connected to the idea of the wild hunt, going to the underworld, to the dead, and even being accompanied by them. And yeah, different offerings for the living and for the dead. And there was a lot of smudging happening with local herbs. So a lot of Artemisia, for example, then also different forms of sage that later came to it, mugwort, different pine trees as well. So these things were collected throughout the year, and there was a real practice of cleansing the whole house. Yeah, and all the rooms, and also actually clearing the space, which is a great invitation always. It's also said that you have to have everything clear and tidy. So if the wild hunt passes by, the corridors are free. And no work should be left undone towards the end of the year. And everything that needs to be said should be said. So you can really enter this new year. And then towards the opening year. So the Rauhnächte, there are different ways to count when they start. I feel like the whole portal really opens on winter solstice because also Christmas, and we will also in the course speak about Christmas, how this is actually still represented in so many Christmas aspects. Christmas really based on that and on winter solstice celebrations. So this whole portal opens in that night from the 21st to 22nd of December. And then how I like to count it, and again, there are different ways, is from December 24th to 25th, starting the 12 or 13 holy nights. I actually make it 13. I like the aspect that it's an uneven number. And then it ends on January 6th or Epiphany. So towards the new year, this time was really dedicated to oracular practices as well. And this is something that we will explore as well in the course. How can we, yeah, perceive visions for the new year in a way that feels genuine, authentic, alive, and is also in communication with the natural world around us. There's so many ways, but these are a few to mention.
I think a really important part for me is the act of decolonizing Christmas, which is something that you talk about a lot in your work. And I wanted to know, when you speak of this, what is it that we're unlearning, and what deeper, older knowledge are we re-entering?
Yes. Yeah, that's a very, very
Big question.
big question. Well, when we look, for example, at certain archetypes that are present in Christmas, For example, Santa Claus. There's so many myths around this figure and certain aspects as well. And many refer to Coca-Cola, or this comes from Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola didn't invent anything. They just took an archetype that already existed. And that person, for example, we can see how this archetype evolved from Odin to later Christianity coming and taking over with San Nicolas, and then Coca-Cola taking it. So there, when we look at Christmas, we look at so many timelines and so centuries over centuries of human and cultural evolution. And it's not about pushing away certain things or saying that all the Christian elements shouldn't be there, but it is about rediscovering the indigenous roots also of the lands here. When I say here, I'm in Germany. And it also goes along with looking at our own indigenous communities that have been living here or are still living here, like the Sami people from the north. There's also a link between them and certain mythologies around even the reindeers and the sleigh and the journey of Santa Claus. So it is about coming back to that, appreciating that, and looking into those older roots, because forms of colonization, have been happening here as well. And the pagan ways have been, they at some point, Christianity took those dates and took those festivities and made it their own and changed it to their sacred calendars. And there was also violence involved and cultural erasure. And that's why it's important to come back to the land and also to appreciate and honor these original threads and start finding ways to relate to that in our own ways.
Find out more on advaya.life.